That was the quickest I've ever had to do that. Welcome, everyone. Fake Nerds Watch for Star Trek Lower Decks, but not just for Star Trek Lower Decks. We're also going to be talking about all the big reveals from Star Trek Day that happened last week on September 8th, the anniversary of the first premiere of Star Trek. I'm Brandon C. McClure from Fake Nerd Podcast. I guess I have to specify which podcast I'm from because I'm here with two other podcasts, Downright Nerdy, Michael Karls.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having me again. As always, happy to be here.
And Cookie from Just a Little Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, thank you as well for allowing me to be on the show.
So before we get into Lower Decks, there was a big Star Trek event that happened last week.
I missed it.
The Star Trek event.
You missed the whole thing?
No, I'm just joking. Of course not.
It started later than last year's, and last year's was just a live stream, but this one was kind of an event. And we have a Google Nest to give a little inside baseball, I guess, whatever. We have a Google Nest, and it decided to do this thing where the LADWP is like, we're going to shut off your air conditioning for a couple of hours to save some money. I'm like, okay, well, now it's hot as hell. What am I going to do? So I went downstairs. I just turned on Paramount Plus and I watched Star Trek Day.
There you go. Nice. And how was it live?
You know what? It's pretty fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was very, very jealous and disappointed that I had to work during Star Trek Day. And you sending messages that like, hey, what are we doing for Star Trek Day? I'm like, I have to work. And then you're like, oh, man, we're going to talk all kinds of cool stuff. Hey, thanks for rubbing it in, Brandon. I love you, buddy.
But we get to talk about all sorts of cool stuff now.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm real excited.
Who watched the event? Who watched like the whole event? Okay. I want to know, Cookie, what did you think of the event?
Okay, so this was exceptionally well done. I really, really enjoyed it. I loved the two hosts, which was Will Wheaton and then LeVar Burton's daughter. I loved their dynamic. I think they were exceptional. I loved how it went through the story. And when I mean story, I mean Star Trek as a whole. It went through the whole Star Trek kind of like saga. And the music was, oh my goodness. I literally was tearing up, not even gonna lie to you. I literally was starting to tear up and cry because the music was like so powerful.
Yeah. The music of Star Trek is always wonderful. One of the things, Mike, is that they in between the panels they would have these tributes to the classic Star Trek shows, the first 5 shows, and they would have Jeff Russo, who's the composer for Star Trek Discovery, perform the theme songs while a montage played on their screens. And look, it was really cool. But the Deep Space Nine one started. And I was like, oh, great, Deep Space Nine. And like the Deep Space Nine opening theme played, and I started bawling.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God.
Man,
it was, for me, it was like TNG. When that hit for me, like T wasn't TNG because it was like a heavy thing for my dad. My dad and I, we watched it.
Sure.
I got into Star Trek through him. And then when he passed away, like that was my ringtone. So it's like, I don't hear that ringtone anymore. And that was the first time that I actually heard that sound since he passed. And it's like, it just hit me in the field so hard. And I was like, holy crap, Star Trek is very much generational, but every generation can enjoy Star Trek.
Yeah. We're even like Will Wheaton even talked about how we're in a second golden age of Star Trek, which in fact we really are, regardless of how you feel about any of the shows. There are 5 concurrent Star Trek shows on the air.
I mean, the last time we had this many was when TNG, DS9, and Voyager were all concurrently going.
Well, TNG was already off the air by the time Voyager started.
Well, but it was TNG then.
It was still playing.
DS9 started right then and there, and then DS9 and Voyager were concurrent for a little bit as well. So that's what I meant.
Yeah, you're right. That's the last time this happened. Even like Deep Space Nine and Voyager would air on the same nights.
So let me ask you this, just before we get a deep dive into this, which golden age are you loving more?
Oh, I'm a TNG, DS9, Voyager kind of guy. That's my Star Trek. I remember I remember.
Is it because of the nostalgia, or is there something else to it, like actual something actually physical about it?
You know, I won't say it's not just for nostalgia. I think nostalgia does play a part in it because I can still remember the first Star Trek episode I ever watched. I don't remember the title of it, but I remember exactly, like, it's the one where Deanna and Picard and Geordi are coming back from this conference, and the only time that we see the runabout in Next Gen, and the Enterprise suffered a explosion
with the Romulans, and it's just frozen in space.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a great one.
That was the first episode of Star Trek I ever saw. I watched on Spike TV. If you remember Spike TV,
Spike TV, that was a thing.
Yeah. I watched it at my grandparents' house. So I think for Next Gen, there is a huge nostalgia there for me. But that said, my favorite show is Deep Space Nine. And I don't think anything in the current Star Trek era has created characters as likable, as beloved as that era of Star Trek.
I agree.
And I think Discovery is the biggest problem in that regard, even though I like it kind of the most.
I think the closest that it's come has been Lower Decks.
I think so too.
And I think it's specifically due to the episodic nature of the show, and not having overarching storylines that last the entire season. Which, I'm sorry, I'll defend this until I'm proven otherwise. But Star Trek is meant to be episodic.
Yeah,
I mean, Deep Space Nine was serialized.
It was, but there's not as
heavy,
episodic type of. The overarching storyline was still not as pertinent to every episode story. Do you know what I mean? Until we got into the war.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
And by the time we got into the war, the characters were already so well developed and so well written that it didn't matter, right? Yeah. You need to take that time in the first few seasons of any show to build rapport with the audience and the characters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my opinion. I don't know. I'm going to go off on rants during this episode, I believe.
No, that's fine. I don't disagree. I think Star Trek thrives in an episodic nature. Going back to what the core of Star Trek is, which is exploration. I'm sorry if you can hear anything. It is my cat throwing himself at my door, to my office. He knows how to open the door, and he's working very hard to do it. Anyway. So they had a bunch of really beautiful tributes, like we talked about with Enterprise, even though they didn't play Faith of the Heart, which really pissed me off.
I was so wanting that too.
The one that's it's been a long road. That one?
Yeah. Oh. I know it is controversial in the Star Trek fandom to say you like that song, but I like that song.
It grew on me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially when they added the drums.
That was in season 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed the event altogether. But some of the biggest news, and I think we should get into now, is that they revealed a lot of new looks at the upcoming Star Trek shows, and I want to talk just briefly on this one because it's the smallest news. They had a Star Trek Discovery panel where they had I'll say it, the least interesting characters of Star Trek Discovery. I'm sorry to those characters. I don't find them very interesting. Yeah. They had Adira and Gray and Dr. Culber.
Yeah. Dr. Culber I do like a lot, though.
That's true.
Like him a lot.
Dr. Culber is pretty good. I'm glad he's alive because that was stupid.
Yes.
And I like the idea that he's trying to do he's trying to be like a ship's counselor. Because Discovery comes from an era where they didn't have ship's counselors.
Mind you, though, I'm on season 3 now. So sure. I started season 3, but I'm probably like 3 episodes in.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't spoil anything for you.
He's alive, I guess.
Well,
so
I knew
he doesn't die.
Yeah, I knew that he came back to life.
That was in season 2, though.
That was season 2. So I didn't know that he was a ship's counselor yet. I don't know what's going on. I know they're in the future, but I tried not to get spoiled.
The thing about Star Trek Discovery that bugs me, and this is a good place anywhere to talk about it. Dr. Culber says he's going to become the ship's counselor, but he never does. They just say he is now. That's the thing about Star Trek Discovery that really bugs me is they talk about in that panel. They talk about how we're a family, how we really how I love working with this cast of characters because these characters are a family. Exemplifies this found family, and I'm like, you say that every episode, but honestly, I don't see it. None of these characters like each other.
They don't really like even the relationships within them. They like even Colburn and
Stamets
and his partner Stan. Yeah, like I don't feel it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did at first. Season 1, I felt it, but then once he came back
season
to life,
1, the episodes that you did feel it, it was brief, right? It wasn't really like you didn't really get a sense that they had this like long, extensive history and relationship, filled with ups and downs and things like that. And I mean, even when you see main character, what's her face?
Michael Burnham.
Michael Burnham. Right, even her relationship with when it came to Spock, like I didn't really believe her take on it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't even believe her relationship with Saru. The problem with
that seems super just fake. And
the problem with Star Trek Discovery, the problem with Star Trek Discovery that I've always had, and it's never fixed, is that it has a lot of telling us that they are a family and not showing us how.
I feel that they are trying to push new boundaries, and they're trying to see how far they can do it, especially bringing in like an LGBTQ community involved into the show and trying to make it more prevalent.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, let's just do like a small kiss here. Like it's not
and that bugs me. Like I think it would work way better if they just went all out, right? Because Star Trek in the future is supposed to be this. Like me and Brandon talked about it last week. Supposed to be this type of society where that stuff doesn't even matter. That doesn't exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're all actually a part of this Starfleet family where you just get to work on yourself.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're gonna do that, go all like just be like grow some cojones and just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the true Star Trek fans will actually appreciate that and actually be able to follow the story without getting distracted as to like, oh man, I don't believe this relationship kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
For
I don't
sure.
know. Maybe that's just me. There's my rant again. I told you it's gonna happen.
It's okay. I think Star Trek Discovery. I think the Star Trek Discovery has some solid stories. I really do. I enjoy the show for the most part. I liked season 3 quite a bit. I love season 2, but I love season 2 for a specific reason that we'll talk about actually in this section. And I just wish that going into season 4, I hope going into season 4 that they actually show us how they're a family and really develop the characters that I don't care about. I hate Tilly.
I like Tilly.
I hate Tilly.
I thought she was great.
I'm so sick of her. And I'll tell you, I cannot tell you why because it's a spoiler for this season.
Oh.
Yeah.
For the season that you're on, Cookie.
Okay. Well, so far, I've liked her in season 2. Season 3, she's just like kind of there, and she doesn't know what she wants to be a captain.
She
doesn't have the balls to be a captain yet. She's still trying to get her feet wet.
I'm going to tell you something vague that I think will click in your mind when it happens. There is something that is going to be so infuriating to you about Tilly that I want you to text me when you see it.
Okay, sounds good.
But
good.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think you do. Star Trek Discovery season 4, however, they didn't release a trailer for it, but they did release it a release date. It is coming November 18th. So, Cookie, you got until November 18th to finish Discovery.
That's plenty of time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the positive thing about a lot of these new shows is that they're not following TNG DS9 and putting out 22 episodes a season.
Yeah.
Hour-long episodes, so you can whip through this.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're really easy to binge watch, and I think Discovery lends itself more to a binge watch format because it is a heavily serialized TV show.
Absolutely. Like usually on the weekends, I wake up before my wife, so I'll wake up at like 6:00, and I'll watch 3 episodes before she wakes up.
Well, where should we go next? Should we go to Picard or Prodigy?
Let's save Picard for last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know why.
I know. Yeah, I think I know why too. But I think with Prodigy, I think that you, Brandon, might be the most. I'm guessing. I think you're the most excited about it amongst the 3 of us.
Amongst the 3 of us, probably. Yeah, I'm really excited for Prodigy. I've mentioned a lot on the Fickner podcast how the showrunners come from a TV show that I adore called Troll Hunters on Netflix.
Oh yes, Ryan got me into it. and I'm loving it.
Troll Hunters is excellent. It's an excellent animated show from Guillermo del Toro on Netflix. Yes. If you have not seen it, highly recommend it.
There's three different, I guess, shows that all culminate into one. Oh, magical.
Yeah, it's 3 shows that culminate into one movie. Don't watch the movie. Just, this isn't the format for this. But Star Trek Prodigy, we got a first look, and I really like the animation style. It's really interestingly stylized, I think.
For sure.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I don't like the animation. Yeah.
No.
I mean, for me, I get why they're doing it, because they're trying to I guess attract a younger audience with this particular show, and I think they're doing it there. And I think they're doing it right. This is a Nickelodeon thing, right?
Right. This is the first Star Trek show aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it'll work out fine. The test will be when I have my nieces over, and if they decide they want me to turn it off or keep it on. Sure. Because they're very opinionated when it comes to what they watch, especially they're 4 and 2, right? So of course they would be, but it does look like something that and so just to kind of give you a frame of reference, they love Clone Wars and they love Rebels.
Okay.
They don't understand it obviously, but as a 4-year-old, it keeps their attention, and like to the point where I got this giant, like probably about the size of like my belly button to my head. I got a giant Chewie, right?
Nice.
Like a stuffed animal Chewie, and when she comes over, when she FaceTimes me, she's like, "Where's Chewie?" I was like, "I want to see Chewie. Where's Art?" And I have like this R2D2 that I built at Disneyland, and so like she got that from Clone Wars and Rebels, right? Just that Star Wars universe. I'm curious to see if Star Trek can do this too, and I hope they do, because obviously, Cookie, plug your ears. I'm more of a Star Trek fan than I am a Star Wars fan. So you're good.
You're good.
All right.
Star Wars sucks. Sorry.
Oh, come on.
Did you guys watch John Oliver at all?
I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, the John Oliver he's an actor. He does a talk show on HBO called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He used to work with Jon Stewart, and then they spun him off into this show that he's been doing for a number of years. And he had this bit during the coronavirus that he was recording in this like blank void. And this past couple weeks, they gave the blank void an animated face to talk to John Oliver. It's voiced by H. John Benjamin. And in the last week, they were like, "It's done. We're going back to the studio. No more blank void." And H. John Benjamin is just like, "Oh, now he is gone. The queen killed the princess." And John Oliver's like, "No." Because he's British, good. Anyway, yeah, Star Trek Prodigy, I think looks really engaging. I really liked how this trailer was cut. I think that it looks like more of an adventure style that we've known from the late TNG movies like Nemesis and First Contact. And I'm kind of really into that idea of showing this kind of like adventure side of Star Trek again, kind of going back to like, it's more of a frontier because we're in the Delta Quadrant. We're in a different part of the Delta Quadrant than Voyager was. And hey, Janeway's back.
It does have a Clone Wars-esque type of aesthetic to it.
Yeah. I love Janeway, so I'm excited to see her back as the emergency command hologram of the USS Protostar, I think it's called.
For me, I'm a big Halo guy. Like, I've read the books, and this reminded me a lot of where Master Chief kind of originated from and came from. And it showed me that John 117-esque feel, which is Master Chief's like numbered name. And he was basically taken as a kid from his home planet, put into this program to kind of get developed as a soldier. And it had that same characteristics of having like Cortana in the back of your head, and this ship that you're sitting in, these little kids are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how we're going to do this, but we got to step up to the plate, make this happen. We got to go on an adventure and have fun. Yeah. And you're having that captain teach them as they're going on this adventure.
I always thought that Star Trek should have a story like this, of the kind of this idea. I had this idea ages ago, where it'd be like far in the future, even though this isn't far in the future. I don't know where this is set, but it's like this kind of frontier Star Trek where they find a starship and they have to, and they learn about Starfleet, and they learn about how the galaxy, to fight evil in the galaxy and fight and with diplomacy and go on these Star Trek adventures, and being able to see this in kind of like a it's not a kid show, it's a family show. It's kind of seeing that is really exciting.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you.
My fiance just walked in. Hi.
Hello.
Hello there.
Okay. Hi. They say hi to you back.
Okay, you want me to leave?
It's okay.
You told me to say hi when I get home.
Yeah. Hi.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, sweetie.
Bye.
It's good that we're not live.
My wife walks in. I'm like, get out! Get out!
I haven't seen her in a couple of days, so I
It's
just
even
want to see
better.
her.
I mean, when my fiance walks in, everyone's like, Mike, can you just leave?
Okay. So then let's go to. I don't want to do the Picard yet because I want to talk about Strange New Worlds.
Yep.
Yes. See, I thought
We
you were
didn't
talking
see too
about
much.
this
I mean,
before.
all we got was just just the introduction
Cast.
of the cast.
Yeah.
We got a lot more than I thought we would. Honestly, maybe less. I thought we'd get a trailer. But we found out more. We got new looks of what the uniforms look like. I hate them. I hate them.
Yeah,
I hate these new uniforms.
You know what though? Like, just like you said, this is a new generation of Star Trek. They've been changing so much lately that I'm just kind of going with the flow at this point.
I mean, you go back to the season 2 uniforms when we saw the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Those looked good. I like those.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, obviously, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
No, they're just wearing T-shirts. Like,
If you think about it, though, people will go and say, like, oh, this sucks. They're just reusing the old stuff. Why don't they go and bring out something new? Why use the old stuff?
I guess, but then don't make a show set in an era that we've
Same
already
timeline.
seen.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys who amongst the cast that was announced, which single person are you most excited for?
Michelle
I think
Nichols.
Brandon, you could probably guess who I'm excited for, but Cookie, what do you say?
Michelle Nichols. I don't know the actor's name who's playing her, but Michelle Nichols' character. I'm really, really hyped for that.
First, it's Nichelle. It's
Yeah.
an N. Nichelle Nichols. So Nyota Uhura, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Babs. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her name. It's Olusan Mokon.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I think Uhura.
You're excited for Uhura the most.
I think you're excited for Uhura.
No, I'm not.
Who are you excited for?
No, I am really looking forward to Laan Noonien Singh because of the data connection.
Okay,
Right.
so I also made that confusion. Noonien Singh is Khan.
I mean Khan. What did I say? Data?
Data.
I meant Khan. Sorry.
Yeah.
I meant
Now,
Khan.
I get it because I made the mistake
Yeah.
also because
Soon is data. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking that when I was just saying it, but I meant Khan. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, I think that's really interesting. A descendant of Khan on the Enterprise.
And I'm wondering if this is going to somehow tie into maybe how Kirk and Spock eventually meet up with them, and maybe I don't know, have some other kind of like backstage.
I don't know.
I kind of hope not, but I kind of hope so at the same time, because I hope not, because I don't want it to take away from anything from Wrath of Khan or anything like that, right? But I kind of hope so because it was such a great story. I mean, maybe they could figure out a way to do it. I like the cast. I think I'm excited about everybody. That this particular cast member just really intrigued me the most, I think, out of everybody. Everyone else was kind of expected. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't expect Uhura.
I didn't either. I did not.
When they obviously, like, I knew the trio would be Pike, number one, and Spock. Like I knew they would come back. I love Anson Mount. Like this, the sole reason why I like season 2 of Star Trek Discovery is because of Captain Pike.
Yep.
Yes.
There is honestly no other reason why I like that season.
Do you like him better than the Pike from the movies?
I like them the same, but for different reasons.
I like him more, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
He I guess he has the charismatic way about him, and I feel that it really shines a light. It takes away from Michael, unfortunately, and it really puts a heavy light and a heavy presence on him. and his story and his backstory, knowing his future, and still committing to it and saying, I don't care. Like, even though my future's written, screw it, I'm still part of Starfleet. And hearing that and understanding like who he is as a captain, I think that for me was what did it.
Sure. I like the Star Trek, the Star Trek 09, Star Trek Into Darkness Pike. I forgot his name at this point. But he is a complete reinvention of the Pike character. He is a character. He is, we're doing this kind of father figure for Kirk Pike. He's older, significantly older.
Also, we have to remember that this Pike is part of that alternate timeline where he was forced into that father figure role because Kirk's dad died, right?
Right. So it's a complete reinvention. So I like that version of Pike, but I also really like what we're seeing with Anson Mount, who is basically the reincarnation of Jeffrey Hunter from the Cage. Like he walks onto the Starship Discovery set, and he's just like Captain Pike. He's the most fully formed character that show ever had from the moment he walked off the transporter pad.
Yeah.
I love him. I'm so excited to see him back. His short treks are also the best. I recommend his 2 short treks I think he's got.
I talked to you, Brandon, about it the last episode where when I first watched Star Trek as a kid, seeing Christopher Pike in a wheelchair, his face is deformed.
Mm-hmm.
I had nightmares as a kid for like a week straight. And I think that's why I still hate scary movies that Mike still tries to put me on, is because of Christopher Pike and just seeing him in a wheelchair, his face deformed. But then
that's where your fear of horror movies stems from? A Christopher Pike Star Trek original series episode?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's going to be weird. It's either that.
I promise I won't tell Jackson.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. You know you will. It is scary, though. Like, as a kid, imagine watching as a kid.
Yeah, totally, man. I get it, bro.
No, you don't.
You know what? I'll back you up, Cookie. I'll back you up, Cookie. I get it. It is scary. I don't agree, but it is scary. One of the things that I'm really excited to see is they talked about that they're going to deal with smiling Spock. If you remember the Cage, Spock is smiling quite a bit in that episode. They hadn't quite gotten the emotionless version of Spock down.
I got a weird feeling they're just gonna make it like a Pon farr episode. You know,
like he was just on the Pon farr.
Yeah, he was just episode? Like just super excited. He just got done doing his deed, and that's the one time he like just gets some emotion out, and that's it. That was the episode.
Now going back to the uniforms thing, I don't care if they don't do the turtlenecks. Like the turtlenecks look terrible. I don't care if they don't do that, but like something to kind of like harken back to the original series and less Kelvin timeline, because like these uniforms look more like you'd see
even the badges,
the J.J. Abrams movies. Yeah, even the badges. Like go back to the patch. Like
the patch, the high boots.
Yeah, I want something to harken back to that 60s aesthetic. You modernize too much, and you kind of lose the charm of it. Like I like the Enterprise. I like the new Enterprise design. We get a little bit of it. Obviously, we saw it in Discovery. I think they're using the same set, slightly altered. I like the new Enterprise. I think it looks really nice. But you modernize too much, and you lose the charm of that 60s aesthetic. And I think that's just kind of a shame.
Yeah, I agree.
But there are other new characters. We've talked about Noonien Singh. That opens up a whole world of possibilities of what that could mean, how her relationship to Khan influences her character and her career in Starfleet. Great to reference the Eugenics Wars, though. That's kind of cool in some way. We get, obviously, Uhura as a cadet. Mbega, Dr. Mbega, is in this. That's exciting.
The Doctor too.
I didn't like how he looked compared to what we saw like back in the day in the 60s.
Yeah.
It didn't look like him. Yeah,
that's fair. I don't know. Mbega is such a small character in the original series. Yeah, I don't know if I would mind a change or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm curious what happened to what's his name? I had to write it down. Where's Dr. Boyce?
He'll probably be that. It'll probably be the same thing that happened in TNG when season 2 we had that new doctor, right? And then just all of a sudden he'll just show up, and then and then the lady will be gone.
So sure, because Dr. Boyce was a fun character in the original pilot for The Cage. I don't know who's seen The Cage on this.
It's been years. I do need to rewatch it. I think I was actually thinking about rewatching all of TOS before Strange New Worlds comes out.
Cookie, I highly recommend. I highly recommend watching The Cage. It's a really interesting artifact from essentially pre Star Trek. It is Star Trek before Star Trek was solidified as an entity. You'll see George Takei, but not as Sulu. You'll see Spock smiling, and that's where the captain calling her first officer number 1 came from. But there's some really interesting camera tricks in it. Like, I'm still amazed by the thing. The first episode opens with this great zoom in from space into the bridge, and it's awesome. And it's 60s technology, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's enough about The Cage. But in that episode, they introduce Pike as this character who's kind of world weary. He's not sure if he wants to continue being the captain of the Enterprise anymore. He's tired of war. He's tired of these things. He's tired of all. He's just kind of tired. One of his things is like, how many more times can I send my troops into battle? He's that kind of guy. And then his doctor shows up, and it's the chief medical officer of the Enterprise, and it's Dr. Boyce. And he shows up. He's just got vodka in his purse. And he's just like, let's have a drink. He's a fun character, and I hope we see him in the show. We also get Nurse Chapel. Nurse Chapel is returning. I'm excited to see her. And then, there's the other girl we don't know about. Oh, the Andorian. I hate the Andorian designs.
Why?
It's a thing that I don't like about Star Trek, about the current era of Star Trek. One of my biggest things is the overuse of prosthetics.
Oh, I see what you mean. So you liked it better on Enterprise when it was just kind of blue paint, white wig, a couple of antennae,
and call it a day.
You're good to go.
Yeah, I prefer simplistic designs because if you put too much prosthetics on them, look at the Klingons from the first 2 seasons of Discovery. They're terrible. They can't talk.
Yeah,
and they're putting so much on the
now would it
the Orions?
Would you be okay if Jeffrey Combs came back as an Andorian?
Oh, that would be dope.
That would just be great. That would just be great. I'd be so into that. I love Jeffrey Combs.
I know he's one of my favorite non-recurring actors for Star Trek.
Yeah, the thing is, like in Star Trek Discovery, and I was really hoping that the person who designs the Star Trek Discovery aliens wouldn't go back to do Strange New Worlds, but it looks like they are. In Star Trek Discovery, Cookie, you'll discover that the Orions are just awful. I hate the prosthetic design, the prosthetics they put on them. The Klingons we've talked about for the first 2 seasons, the Andorians in season 3 of Discovery, like. It's fine if you want to kind of make them look more alien, but I think they overdo it with the prosthetics, and they just make it hard for the actors to emote. The beautiful thing about Star Trek prosthetics is that they're simple, and the actors can emote. They can actually perform, and that's why Spock only has ears. Like it's so that Leonard Nimoy can act, and you put so much prosthetic on them, and they can't act anymore. That's my whole thing about the prosthetics, but exciting to see an Andorian.
Unless you get actors who are used to wearing prosthetics, like Saru, because
like Doug Jones, you're right.
He's so much in a costume all his life that it's second nature for him.
Yeah, but but then you get people, but not everybody's Doug Jones.
Exactly. So 1 in a million.
Yeah, I'm just kind of bummed about the overuse of prosthetics in Star Trek right now, but I'm excited for Strange New Worlds. It is my most anticipated.
Hopefully, I'm sure that the storyline will make up for the lack of stuff that they do add in there that people don't like.
Yeah.
As long as the story's solid, I think.
Go ahead, Mike.
So Strange New Worlds is your most anticipated, not Prodigy?
It is my most anticipated.
Oh, okay. So I got that wrong.
I am excited for Prodigy, but Strange New Worlds is the one I'm most excited about. Also, Mike, it's episodic.
It is episodic, yes.
So there's that.
But it's still not my most favorite. The thing I'm most looking forward to from Star Trek Day.
Have we talked about it already?
I'll let you know at the end, and then we'll after we're done talking about how much I love everything, you guys get to guess what I'm most excited about.
Well, I was going to say the second half of Lower Decks season 2 for leading into our Lower Decks discussion. So, do we want to talk about Picard now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Star Trek Picard season 2 released a trailer. No date, by the way, for Prodigy is October 28th. I don't know if I mentioned that.
You did.
I did. Okay. So,
I think-
Picard and Strange New Worlds look like they're next year, 2022.
Mhm.
Even though we don't know when Strange New Worlds is coming. This is our second second trailer for Star Trek Picard.
You have to assume that Picard is going to be coming out before Strange New Worlds.
But Star Trek Picard just finished filming. And Strange New
we
Worlds
already have
has
two
finished.
trailers, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
We have 2 trailers already. I think that means it's kind of imminent.
And
That's
like,
what's
why not?
First quarter, I think.
Why not
Yeah.
announce? I guess Strange New Worlds now. Out of all times to do it, would be now. Unless you're trying to compete with maybe Star Wars and say, okay, let's do it around the same time Star Wars is coming out to go and get a battle going on.
That's not a competition.
The weird thing is, Strange New Worlds finished filming months before Star Trek Picard did. So it's just strange to me that it looks like Picard is coming first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, but the Star Trek Picard season 2 trailer, we now know what the season is about.
Mhm.
What do we think?
I am all on board. I am a
All right.
Patrick Stewart fan. I am so thrilled for this. I'm excited. I'm loving it. Cannot wait. This is what I'm most excited for.
Mike?
I am excitedly skeptical.
Okay.
As with the first season of Picard, which I was a little underwhelmed. Like in retrospect, we had watched it episode by episode together, pretty much, Brandon, and we talked about it. And since then, I've watched it one more time all the way through, and I've discovered that this is not how I want to remember many of my beloved characters from TNG. But still, John Delancey coming back with a goatee, and why not? And Brandon super excited about the Borg Queen, I'm sure. But to be quite honest, man, I mean, Picard, he's old, man. It's sometimes tough watching him on this screen, just watching him act. I love him to death, but he's old, and it shows. I would have much rather have, like, in retrospect, instead of seeing Star Trek Picard, I think I would have been more excited to see Star Trek Riker or a Worf series.
Everything is just so sad in the Star Trek Picard universe. It's just such a sad Star Trek universe to live in. I didn't hate this.
All right.
I didn't hate this.
Okay.
I just don't. We're doing time travel. We're doing time travel, not just time travel, but time travel to 2021. What are we doing?
It seems. I mean, obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about how the future of humanity is. Star Trek is this like utopia, right? And it seems that when they go back to 2021, they're going to, show, Picard and everybody's going to kind of show like the world as it is right now. And obviously, it's not an ideal utopia at the present time. And I think it feels a bit forced. Probably understating that a bit, but in regards to the story, I'm not even so sure it's so much a timeline. I mean, it is a time travel show, but it is the first time that we're going to see the mirror universe. This is the mirror universe, correct?
Nope.
No? Is this going to be an alternate timeline?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that kind of sucks because I was really hoping to see a mirror universe with Picard.
It is the Star Trek timeline altered. It's yesterday's Enterprise.
Got it. Okay.
It's that.
Yesterday's
I'm a
little less excited.
My thing with time travel in Star Trek gets really tricky when you go to the present. I get it when the old shows did it because it saved a lot of money, but they were still in a time period where Star Trek's alternate history wasn't directly wasn't so different from ours. When Voyager did it 2004, they were like, they were 4 years after the eugenics wars. So like we don't need to talk about the eugenics wars. It just happened already. And we're still 60 years away from World War III. But when Deep Space Nine went back in time to the 2020s, it was not a good place. There was a lot of
That's right. There's inconsistencies now.
Right. There's a lot of inconsistencies with our timeline. And I've said it before. The thing that I want Star Trek to embrace is the fact that our future is not their past. If they go back to the past, I want to see that alternate past. I want to see the eugenics wars. I want to see the World War III. I want to see the whatever the hell that was in Deep Space Nine. That's a good episode, by the way. When they go back in time in Deep Space Nine. And he becomes and Cisco becomes like a revolutionary. It's a good episode.
Yeah, revolutionary. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right now. So what we're seeing with Picard is we're going back to 2021, and it's just going to be another Star Trek plot where it's just, yeah, don't worry about it. But I want to see that. I want to see that alternate future. I love the Star Trek history that led to the First Contact. How harrowing of a journey from the Cold War to the eugenics wars to World War III, how harrowing of a journey humanity took to get to First Contact and then come out the other end of that.
And especially with a Q episode where the trial never ends. Like it seems like that would be a perfect segue into that.
Yes, the only thing in this trailer that I really liked was Delancey. I really like John Delancey as Q, and I'm so stoked to see him back.
And it looks like all your wishes have been granted, that the Borg will probably just play a very small role in just helping them get to the past.
Why?
Because
all
the Borg.
Star Trek,
and you have two former Borg on the series. You got 7 of 9 and Picard.
You already dropped the ball with the last season. You don't need to do it this season too.
Sure it is. It's season 2. They're not going to get their feet wet until season 4 anyway, if it makes it that far.
If he makes it, heaven forbid. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Okay. The Borg Queen, we don't get a huge look at her new design, but she has been radically altered in her design. It being set in an alternate timeline, I kind of get it why there's a Borg Queen there now because of the Borg connection with Picard and 7. Although in this new timeline they shouldn't be connected to the Borg anymore. 7 especially. We don't know about Picard, I guess. So that's fine. It's just there's so many time travel. There's so many ways to time travel in Star Trek. Use one of those. Why make a new one?
Or why pick this one? I mean,
they plug into the Borg Queen and they go back in time. That's somewhere in time bullshit where it's just I'm gonna think I'm in the 60s and I'm in the 60s.
She's the only one that has the flux capacitor, I think, during this time.
You know what I want to see? Go ahead, Cookie.
I was just gonna say, do you guys want to bring out my whiteboard and I can draw you guys the timeline, and then underneath it draw you the alternate timeline so that you guys can understand. That's what I like about it. Is this is not Star Trek. This is not the Star Trek we grew up on. This is a Star Trek for a new generation that could care less about the old generation. Doesn't care about it. Knows, okay, we have Captain Picard. We know who he is. We know little things, but other than that, it's insignificant. And if you go back in time and create a new timeline, all that stuff, it doesn't matter. And of course, if you have Q involved, Q has the ability to jump between reality and alternate timelines. And he can go and say, you know what, screw it all. You did good, Picard. I'm going to give you back to where you were before, how everything is. And
I totally get what you're saying. I agree. My big thing is then live in that timeline. Show us that new timeline and have Picard's trial be him trying to share Starfleet ideals within that new timeline, working against a totalitarian regime, not going back in time to 2021 with this weird. You know what I want to see real quickly? I want to see them loop around the sun. I want to see that time travel technique in modern Star Trek.
All right. So if like you said, and I'll go to what Mike said. So if they do that, you can't go and really build multiple seasons. Picard's not getting any younger. Patrick Stewart's only getting older, and his acting skills, as Shakespearean as they once were, they aren't that anymore. They have now dwindled heavily. And he doesn't have a lot of years left as far as acting, in my opinion. So if you're going to go and build a whole entire vast universe around his timeline, around his adventures, you're going to be screwed once he hits like a certain age and he can't do anything. What do you do then? So if you keep it at 2 to 3 maybe seasons and call it a day and be over with it, then it's like this nice little pocket of Picard, nice little pocket of Patrick Stewart, and that's it.
I guess I just hope that season 3 is better because I'm not liking what I'm seeing for season 2.
A lot of haters on here, a lot of Star Wars haters. That's what I'm hearing.
I look again. I didn't hate this trailer, and I Star Trek Picard's fine. I don't hate it. I kind of had to come to terms with it as my least favorite of the new shows that I watched last year because, it's just kind of wasn't there. The story isn't there. It doesn't push anything new. It just kind of retreads some old, and then it doesn't do anything interesting with the Borg like at all. And with season 2, it just kind of. I just hope this is a better season than season 1, and if it's not, then I hope season 3 is because as you said, Patrick Stewart's not getting any younger, and I don't want his last run to be a Picard to be a couple of fine seasons of a fine TV show.
It's gonna.
That's sad.
Yeah,
he's not gonna want to stop acting, and nobody's gonna tell him that your acting's kind of gone to the wayside, dude.
It's not even the acting. It's just I don't think the writing is up to where it should be.
They're writing, and they're also, I mean, just physically, they're writing for like a 60-year-old Jean-Luc Picard when they're getting a 90-year-old Jean-Luc Picard. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this can work, but it needs to work more on a this would work more on a psychological character type of show as opposed to the physical blow 'em up stuff that we got a lot of in season 1.
Yeah, and don't put him in a weird android body.
Yeah, now he's supposed to like live long, whatever,
live forever.
Yeah. Look, I hope for the best always. I always hope for the best. I was worried about what I saw. It didn't wow me. But that said, Picard does have the second most interesting characters of the current franchise. Second to Lower Decks. I talked about this Discovery. One of my biggest problems with Discovery is the characters aren't there. But Picard, I really like the other characters. I like the side characters for Picard, so I'm excited to see them back. I just hope we get more for Raffi. I hope we get more development for these characters. And I hope Picard, is actually given a story that is worthy of this kind of legendary character, because I don't think season 1 did it. I just hope for the best.
Yeah, I don't gotta think. It's fact. Yeah.
But we're going a little long, so why don't we do Star Trek Lower Decks season 2? Showed us a little bit of a trailer. I don't want to talk too much about it because we're going to be talking about episode 5. But I'm excited for the last half of the season. A lot of really fun stuff, it looks like.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Sorry, Cookie, go ahead.
No, I'm probably the same thing with you. I'm very much on board with Lower Decks.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fun callbacks to other Star Trek.
Card Day, the freaking radiation, Tendi turns into some kind of giant bug.
Yeah,
That's
something
funny.
like that.
Yeah. I love the very end. It's like, what's the difference between a phaser and a phaser rifle? 2 hands. Just like little things like that. It's just like things that were never explained in little nitpick things never explained. Lower Decks does a great job at doing it while still providing great stories every episode, providing great character development every episode, and a ton of fun laughs. I mean, throughout every episode. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The creator of this also did parts of Rick and Morty, right?
He's a show. It was a writer on Rick and Morty.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, not surprising.
No. So why don't we go into episode 5 then?
Well, you guys want to guess which one I'm most excited about?
It's Lower Decks. I think.
One?
It's Lower Decks. Lower Decks is by far the best thing to come out of Star Trek since Star Trek DS9.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Yeah,
it's a true statement. You can count on it right here.
It's a subjectively true statement to you, sir. I don't know if I'm willing to make the same statement. I don't disagree though. I really like the show.
Yeah, it's very very well done. Very well done, and I'm loving every single minute of it.
So this episode, again, I don't remember the title of this episode. Mike, do you have it?
I'll have it in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, this episode sees the Cerritos going to a starbase to go to a party, and Rutherford and Tendi are doing their model ship stuff. Actually, some really good stuff with Rutherford dealing with his memory loss, which I'm happy to see them revisit.
The Embarrassment of the Dooplers.
The Embarrassment of the Dooplers. Thank you. And then the Mariner and the Boimler subplot plot is, I think, the best.
Yeah.
I think we finally saw that little arc closed, which is nice. Yeah. You actually get to see it.
Really happy to see them dealing with honestly both their betrayals, because Boimler always has this opinion of Mariner that she doesn't like him, that she's constantly leaving him, and then Mariner having felt this betrayal for Boimler leaving the Titan. I thought that was really well handled, and the bar scene is one of the sweetest moments of the show.
Yep, I love it.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep.
There's a lot of fun action in this one with a chase scene with some really fun Star Trek Easter eggs that you see in there. There's a Quarks. Quark has
Quarks
franchised. Yep. Love it.
What was your favorite? I guess not act, but I guess like storyline throughout this episode.
I really like Mariner as a character. So every time it's her, every time with her character, I'm so in.
Especially in this episode too, right? Because her and Boimler, they've had this tension ever since he came back from the Titan, right? Yeah. And I mean, this they finally got the closure. He was able to realize, like, hey, the way I left you wasn't cool, and yeah, I am sorry. They, after he left the party, came back, and then they saw the Kirk and Spock was etched in. Mariner Boimler was etched in later after the captain couldn't get any as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a very fun, very fulfilling, satisfying episode and story arc that I'm very happy to say closed very neat, packed it nice and neat, and put right in my drawer
on it.
I think this put a bow on a lot of storylines, like the Rutherford storyline. I was really happy to see the Rutherford storyline come full circle finally. The idea that he is kind of tortured by the fact that he doesn't, this other Rutherford existed before him. He talked about, like, I mean, you're behind in our friendship. I can't make this thing. I thought that was all really interesting stuff.
And it was super sweet when Tendi was saying, like, you purposely made sure you couldn't finish it because that way we had something to do, together. It was their thing. I think there's no question that they're going to end up together. I think at this point,
they need to.
This felt like I mean, I know this is a mid-season finale, but this felt like a season finale because everything started tying together.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I want a model ship like that can eject a warp core. I love the idea of just like, okay, we got to get the 2 keys, and then bloop, boom. It just shoots it out of the little engineering. Love that. I thought that was so cute. There's also a character from Next Gen in this. The con man from Next Gen is their DJ at the party. I forgot his name.
I do too. I wouldn't be able to tell you right here.
Yeah. But like, that's just what Lower Decks does so well. I think Lower Decks, I have to talk about this to death, but one of the things I'm constantly impressed with Lower Decks is how it is able to perfectly intertwine every aspect of Star Trek. The adventure Star Trek from the later Next Gen movies and DS9, even the early Next Gen seasons and the early TOS seasons, that early science fiction that we've kind of away from in Star Trek, Lower Decks is able to bring that back and pair it really nicely with the Next Gen era Star Trek and the current modern Star Trek. And I just think it's just the strongest Star Trek show on the air right now. It just really is.
Yeah.
It's like subtle Easter eggs that all flow together that aren't forced. It's not forced Easter eggs. It just happens to happen.
It feels like,
it's supposed to be there.
Giving you a Star Wars analogy, it feels like it's a lived-in world. Like Star Wars, you go into A New Hope and the world feels lived in. Lower Decks is the first Star Trek show, especially the first current Star Trek show, where you drop into Lower Decks and it feels like a living, breathing world with its own history, where you can run into Tom Paris, or you can run into some weird assassin fish people.
Or you can buy a Deep Space Nine and have your own Jadzia and Esri,
Yeah. Or you can have Data. You can have Data's shampoo bottles. Like that. That's it. It's the first show to feel like that. I think. I don't think Deep Space Nine was pretty close, I think. But this one. It's just Lower Decks is just so good.
Can we quickly talk about Richard Kind?
Sure.
He's just fantastic. I love him in this episode as the Doopler. I mean, as soon as he came on, like this is one of the only episodes that Riley actually watches, because I happened to be in the room when she came in, and she's like, "I love that voice actor," and we just started kind of reminiscing on some of his other movies and things that he's done, and she actually loved this entire episode too. I was very happy that she did.
Nice.
And without having any background of the show or Star Trek, to be quite honest with you. And she enjoyed it, which is kind of fun.
Cookie, you wanted to say something?
I did, but I can't remember. It'll come back. Oh, yes. It came
Sorry,
back. Thank you.
I didn't know that.
You're good.
I still love
you. In Star Trek Day, they had an event where they talked about Deep Space Nine, and they talked about why it was so important and why it actually hit so many people. And it was because it attracted a wide array of audience into Star Trek from that I guess timeline, that storyline, and it was the first time they ever had a captain who had a very much human element to him, being a single dad, and their journey together of trying to build that bond. And you see that in this. You see that in Lower Decks, where this is the first time we do see part of a ship that's beyond the bridge. And we're seeing so much into the world where they have creative freedom to do whatever they want, and nobody can tell them otherwise because it's never been explored.
Yeah,
that's the genius of DS9, right? Like you said, you have the Captain Sisko, you have the Nana Visitor, who's been a part of something horrific, so she's already obviously going through her own thing. You have Odo, who's the only person of his kind, doing being around there. Then you get like some people like the Dr. Bashir, who's like kind of a nerd but gets picked on. He's bullied a lot, right? And it's like there's so many people that can relate to specific characters here. And then you get the throwback, people like you get your Miles O'Briens, and then Worf when he comes in, the Jadzias, right? The Jadzias, she's like the wise old woman, who kind of knows because she's been around the block, right? Yeah. She has so many experiences, and she tries to share all that stuff. But like, it's so the range for DS9 is so vast, which is why it was able to attract so many fans, because they were able to connect with so many of these characters. Like, even if for some reason I didn't connect with Sisko, I would be able to connect to somebody else like O'Brien or whoever, right? It doesn't really matter, right? And they touched on so many different, I don't want this to become a DS9 topic, but they touched on so many different important aspects of just life in general, right? Like they go the religion route, the war route. These are things that people are going to experience within their lifetime, right? And just the fact that this happening in this utopia society, it's so refreshing, to kind of get that grounding from these larger than life type of characters.
And I think
that's my rant.
That's okay. I think going into Lower Decks, Lower Decks is really the first time, like, realistically, Boimler is a Star Trek fan. Like he's us. He's been following the mission logs. He's been following all the holodeck adventures of all the famous captains and the famous crews of Star Trek. And then there's Mariner, who's this badass, but she struggles with her own identity issues because her captain is her mother. She's been demoted from every position she's ever been in. She has a hard time making friends. And I think Lower Decks created what is essentially a modern Star Trek fandom's entry point characters. Like DS9 grounded their characters, Lower Decks grounded their characters in different ways to appeal to a more modern Star Trek sensibility.
And
For sure.
because it's animated, they were able to do it so much quicker than DS9 did.
Yeah.
Right. DS9, I mean, we talked about like the season 4 rule, where after season 4, that's where you really start to see a lot of these characters like come into their own on the major 3 shows, TNG, DS9, Voyager. This show, I mean, this took a season, and we were already engrossed in all their storylines. Yeah. We're hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. So. I think being animated helps a lot. It just gives the screenwriters and just writers in general just a lot more cushion to and I guess like leash to explore these characters the way that they want. And
sure. And these writers, I think they have massive shoes to fill because it's their own shoes. And it's like every episode they're literally competing against themselves, almost like it's golf. Like, you're literally competing against yourself every single episode to be better, and they haven't disappointed yet, in my opinion.
No, I think every episode, if every episode isn't better than the last, then it is just as good as the last.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's been a bad episode of Lower Decks. I've really enjoyed all of them.
I agree.
And this one no different. You know, there's the sequence in the bar, which I talked about, is just such a good moment, and I didn't know I wanted this so badly, but if we don't see a future where Boimler and Mariner's the captain and Boimler is the first officer, I'd be so upset because
it's happening.
They would be the perfect duo on that bridge.
It would be great,
and it would kind of be like a Spock Kirk situation.
Yeah.
They have a lot of Spock and Kirk parallels.
Now, do you think we're going to see Mariner and Boimler in Picard? Because Will is kind of old, Will Riker's old. You might see a Boimler, maybe some purple-haired captain or first officer walking around.
Real quickly, you know what's going to bum me about this season of Picard? We're not going to see any other next gen characters show up
because they're going back in time.
Yeah. What happened to Beverly? What happened to Worf and Geordi? You do this show, you cannot do this to us.
Or you know what you might get? You might go back in time and find a really, really old descendant of Noonien Soong.
It's Fred Spider.
Again. Yeah.
I'm sure we can get a Wesley Crusher, though. We can easily get a Wesley Crusher. I know there's a lot of hate against him. I love him.
No, it's not that. It's just Picard is not the direction I think they should have gone with the show. It's fine. We're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about Lower Decks.
No, I'm saying in Lower Decks. I would love if Will Wheaton came into Lower Decks.
Oh yeah,
and Geordi came in and just wrecked the house.
Where would he be? Would he still be with the Traveler?
He probably would be. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a gray area because I mean he came back for
the wedding,
right?
Yeah.
So it's like maybe he has the ability to go back and forth.
But that's a deleted scene.
It still happened. It's still in memory alpha.
It's still in memory alpha?
Still in memory alpha.
Yeah, anyway, anything else we want to talk about this episode? Because I think we're at a point where we're just kind of like talking about how great Lower Decks is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I mean, this episode, just like we talked about, I mean, it's...
by the way, I like your relaxed.
This is so comfortable. Like I just realized how far back I could go without tipping over. So it's like I found that sweet spot of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Lower Decks. I find that sweet spot. Like as opposed to the other shows where that seesaw too often.
Yeah, they should be consulting Mike McMahon.
Let me get a little closer to the mic. Let's see. There was one thing I did want to. I love how. So Captain Freeman, she's really excited to go to this little party thing, obviously, but the Dooplers, get all crazy, and then she finds the way that she finds out how to bring them back together just by like insulting them. I thought was clever and just a ton of fun.
Yeah,
I thought it was so fun.
I mean, it goes back to the ridiculousness of the show. Creating its own identity of being the outlandish Star Trek while also marrying a bunch of other Star Trek tropes. The idea of someone getting embarrassed so they duplicate, and then
Yeah.
being angry, so they come back together is just something you would never see on Next Generation or
No.
Enterprise, but you would see it on Lower Decks, and it fits perfectly.
I'm curious, how would that happen if they're not like within the same area? Like,
I was thinking the same thing.
You
Did
know?
they just disappear?
yeah, I don't know.
Because this is kind of the thing that Lower Decks does.
Or is it something like Pirates of the Caribbean where all the coins have to be together?
Well, maybe. Because this is the thing of like, this is what Lower Decks does really well, where it's they talk about a lot how they're not a capital ship. They're not the main characters. Even the Lower Decks crew aren't the main characters of their ship, but also the ship isn't the main character of Star Trek. This is we're following characters who are a rung above a rung, or a rung under a rung of characters. And that's even every time we see their uniforms, their dress uniforms are different than the standard dress uniforms that the capital ships use. They're not the Titans, they're not the Enterprises, they're not the Voyagers. Oh, by the way, Voyager B gets a mention. It should be Voyager A. Just pointing that out, Mike McMahon.
Oh, did they? I missed it.
Pointing that out.
All right.
Yeah, because Mariner says, I'm on the Voyager B. It should be A. If we're going by the Enterprise logic, it should be A.
Wait, are you talking about when she was trying to get onto the
party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you don't get it. So she tried to fool the guy because there is no B, or the B wasn't there yet. So there's only the A, but she's trying to just get in and try to like hem him up.
Okay, I guess I see.
That's what she was trying to do.
I had assumed that it was a reference to the fact that we see the Voyager D in Star Trek Discovery season 3.
I don't think so. I think that she was just trying
Spoilers,
to.
Cookie. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
It's not a major one. Don't
It's
worry.
a Janeway. It's a Janeway class starship.
It's all good. It's not that bad. Yeah.
But no, I think that was just something that she was just trying to say, just trying to like construe, like she wasn't on the A, but yeah, I was on the B. Nothing crazy. I'm on the B. Just no big deal. Just can you just get me in? I think that's what it was.
It could be read both ways. I'm just, but I won't spend too much time on it. Anyway, yeah, the idea of like even their dress uniforms are different. Like you even talk about the old dress uniforms being like the long ones. I hated those. And then all the main character ships have darker ready rooms and darker bridges and darker uniforms. And then there's the Cerritos with this really bright light and their bright colored uniforms. Probably a slight reference to what we see in the flashbacks of Picard, where after I think 5 years after where we're at right now in Lower Decks, the Picard flashback uniforms are adopted all across Star Trek, all across the Federation. So it looks like it might be like Starfleet is. Like if I have to make a canon explanation, which is kind of fun, Starfleet is trying to test new uniforms before they make mandated uniforms across the entire Starfleet.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's cool. I like the show a lot. I'm excited for episode 6.
Now, when is it still coming out? Is still a new episode next week?
Mm-hmm.
Or okay,
I believe so.
Yeah,
I didn't know if they were taking a break or
it's
something.
10 episodes, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me double check that.
It should be
10.
10. I got it right here.
Yeah. Well, I got it too.
Yeah.
It's my TV time app. Yeah, 10 episodes.
It'll end 10/14. That'll be the season finale.
Yeah, it's the same day. It's the same week. It's a week after What If ends.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so we're not doing. It doesn't look like we're doing. Right when we're done with Lower Decks, we're going into Prodigy. We got like 2 weeks before Prodigy starts, and then Prodigy and Discovery will air at the same time, concurrently. Okay. Well, actually, I don't know that. Prodigy might be short. I don't know how long Prodigy is going to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Cool.
Anything else we want to add? We ran a little late this episode.
All good. It was a fun episode.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about all this stuff. I love talking Trek with you guys.
Yeah, same here.
Likewise.
Love it.
Why don't you guys plug your shows, starting with Mike?
Cool. Mike from Downright Nerdy Podcast. I run another show along with this guy and a bunch of other podcasters called Downright Annoyed with Movies. We just finished watching The Grand Budapest Hotel from this guy, and we are now going to be watching Vampire Hunter D from 1985. It's an anime flick, and it will be on my channel on Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific. I've also been dabbling in some other types of nerddom, including fantasy football. So once or twice a week, I'm going to be talking fantasy football stuff. So any fantasy players out there, subscribe to me on either YouTube or on Spotify. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got going on other than this awesome Star Trek show. Thanks again for having me, Brandon. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Cookie?
Tuesday, I have a new episode coming out. It is episode 99 of the podcast. So I'm hitting the big 100 real soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I am a bag of nerds when it comes to that. I'm trying to go and put some stuff into works, but it doesn't seem like some people are going to go and reach out to me. I'm trying to get celebrities to go and give me some wishes, but I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see. On Twitch, I've been doing
I'll be there.
Oh, okay. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
I won't.
But if Riley comes, you got to get out of the way because Riley's more important than you. Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
I've been doing a lot more twitching lately. I don't know if twitching is the word, or is it twitching or just twitch?
I think the past tense would be twatting.
No.
Oh,
No.
I don't know.
No.
We'll stick with twitching. I'm gonna
Time out,
twitching.
sir.
Twitching. Is it twitching?
Time out.
I don't know. I'm not a Twitch.
I don't know. I'm too old for that shit.
So I've been twitching.
I'm completely ignorant right now.
I think it's just I've been on Twitch.
Okay, I've been on Twitch a lot, so I am coming up to I think 100 followers on there, which has been really fun. So
wow, awesome,
check
dude.
me out on there playing video games, making a fool out of myself. Like Mike said, I do a show with him. I do another show on Sundays as well, right before hanging out with him, which is Silver Age Sunday. We just talk about comics, hang out with people in the comic book community, stuff of that nature. That's about it for me.
Awesome. Where's my invite to Silver Age Sundays? Whatever. Anyway.
I got you one day. I got you.
Okay. So time to plug all the things that are going on the Fake Nerd Podcast Network, family of podcasts. I still don't like saying network for whatever reason. Obviously, hey, this is Fake Nerds Watch. This is not the only Fake Nerds Watch series going on right now. There is also What If. There is no new episode of What If coming this week. There will be 2 episodes of What If covered on 1 episode of Fake Nerds Watch next week. So stay tuned for that. We'll be talking about episode 5 and 6. What If Zombies and What If who the hell knows? I don't know the title of the episodes before they air. Are you guys watching What If? What are you guys thinking about it?
Really good.
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
it's real good.
Yeah,
animation
it reminds me a bit.
Great.
What?
The animation for me is not as great as I thought it was going to be. It's
Sure.
good, but it's not as great. The face doesn't.
I think it would have been cooler if they made it some kind of like anime or something like that. You know?
Yeah, give me some
I don't
eye
know.
movement, some mouth movement. But
2 weeks until Star Wars Visions.
oh, I'm
excited for that. That's like the only thing Star Wars I'm excited for.
Oh,
I'm
Star Wars is not as exciting as Star Trek, so.
Cookie, I'm excited for Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3 and Ahsoka.
Gosh, Mandalorian is such an overrated show.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Hold on. We don't need his shit anymore.
Now you
right.
see how it feels.
Anyway, so yes.
by it.
So Fake Nerds Watch. So it's 2 Fake Nerds Watch. So if you don't like Star Trek, why wouldn't you check out What If? And if you don't like What If, sorry. There's other shows on our network as well. There's Basement Arcade, which is our Let's Play series. We are currently recording a bunch of content for that series, so stay tuned for more there. There's Basement Arcade Pause Menu, a new episode of Basement Arcade Pause Menu. Actually, 2 episodes are coming in this week. One where we just talked about PlayStation the PlayStation Showcase, where we talked about all the exciting PlayStation coverage. I'm so excited for God of War.
Oh yeah.
And then there's Alisai, I believe is her name, who is a Twitch streamer that Ben is talking to. That's coming up Wednesday. There is also Fake Nerd Book Club, which is currently on hiatus. Hopefully we'll get that back on the air soon. Again, one of our guys is on vacation, so that'll wait until he's back. And then there is Animation Station, which is our freshman show where Sparks talks about animation. And this latest episode is coming soon, actually. Probably by the time this is out, that will also be out, where we talk about Adventure Time, Distant Lands, Obsidian, which is the second Adventure Time Distant Lands special, focusing on Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. spoilers. I love that episode. I was so excited to talk about it. So that's coming up soon. And then there is my audio show, Conversation, where I talk to podcasters. The latest episode where I talk with Christian Renteria is up now. Check that out on all audio feeds. And I'm coming soon. I have a double feature of Kaiju Weekly. I got both of the hosts of Kaiju Weekly on two separate episodes. So stay tuned for that. I love Conversation. I hope you guys love Conversation. Check it out. I hope to get you guys on Conversation. Let's see. I'm out of breath. A Fake Nerd Podcast. And then there's the Fake Nerd Podcast, which is our mothership show, where we talk about I don't know why this became the default talking about Fake Nerd Podcast lately. I don't know why. We are talking about there was no new episode last week. We were going to talk about Malignant. We're not going to do that anymore. Might do a special. We'll see. But we're going to be talking about Why the Last Man, which just aired, actually. Yes. We're going to be comparing the first episode of Why the Last Man to the first volume of the graphic novel series, of the comic book series, on next week's episode. We do live recordings every Sunday night, and then the audio version goes up on Monday. So, lots of cool stuff. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to these guys' cool channels. Till next time, guys. Oh, shoot. I forgot I have to do this. I forgot I have to do this now. Live long and prosper.